Hey everyone. I just refer to myself as not being a psychopath, but time will tell. I'm with Kelly Dietrich. He's a longtime Democratic strategist and the founder of the National Democratic Training Committee, which, by the way, is not affiliated with the DNC. This is important. It's the largest Democratic training organization in the country, training both candidates and staff. Kelly, so I want to affirm again,
Yeah,
not part of the DNC.
not part of the DNC. We are entirely separate, our own entity. We are collaborative, not competitive across the ecosphere. It's our mission to lower the barrier of entry. You want to work in Democratic politics, you want to run for office, we'll show you how for free.
And furthermore, you said you don't endorse candidates.
We do not endorse candidates in primaries. We are here. We provide free resources, free training to anyone who wants to stand up and make a difference in their community. To keep those free, to operate at scale in all 50 states, we do not make endorsements.
How long have you been doing it for?
This is our 10-year anniversary this year. Had 125,000 people come through the program. About one out of every seven Democrats on the ballot in 2024 used some of our free resources in some way, shape, or form.
Where'd you guys start 10 years ago? What was ground zero?
We came out of my experience working on campaigns all over the country. I was a new campaign strategist and a fundraiser. So if you wanted to run for Congress, you wanted to run for US Senate, you'd hire someone like me. But everywhere that I went, the same thing would happen, which is, you set up these amazing candidates who are running for bigger office. They have some resources of their own and can afford expertise. But the local candidates, the local operation would be asking me fundamental questions. And so when this happened, I'm a Midwest kid. Missouri, Kansas is where I got my start, but it was happening in Colorado and North Carolina and all over the country. I realized it was no one's job to help every candidate out there. No organization exists in Democratic politics to build long-term power at scale for any Democrat, right? And there's lots of reasons for that, but there's more than 500,000 local elected offices in this country no one's paying attention to. We all think someone else is helping them, but to operate at that scale to so many people, it doesn't work. I'm a big party person. I know the brand is not great right now, but state party is overworked, underfunded. So came up with this idea based on my wife, who is the smart, successful one, of what she was doing with online learning. We built an online academy where anyone can come, sign up for free. There are courses, everything from you think you want to run for office to how to build a field plan, how to raise money, what's a budget, how to talk to voters, what to do on election night. We got the whole kit and caboodle. But we also realize you can't win a campaign on your own. And there are not enough experienced campaign staff in this country to help as many candidates who are running. So we provide resources for people to understand how do you run a field program? Again, how do you be a finance staffer or a digital staff person on a campaign? Again, everything free because we want to be able to scale and reach people where they are, working in all 50 states, work with hundreds of organizations across the spectrum.
So you're like me, a terrible capitalist. I have no paywalls and everything is free. And
Yes.
I've put the
Yes.
website, folks. It's a fantastic website. It's called traindems.org. And speaking about the grassroots, I've been saying on the left hook for a while, right? Because a lot of people come to me and they say the following. I'm actually going to quote you exactly what they say, when I give talks
Yeah.
around the country. I'm nobody. What can I do? Who am I? I'm just an average American wage. I don't have a platform like you. I don't write for the New York Times or I'm on TV. What can I do? And I'm sure you hear this a lot, Kelly. I'm nobody. What can I do? And my response always to them is everybody I'm a nobody also. We're all nobodies.
We're all
We're all,
nobodies.
we're all somebodies to someone. And I sincerely believe everyone has a superpower and everyone has a role to play. I've
Yeah.
also said that even if you're at home and you feel like, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home mom, which by the way is a remarkable job.
It's a
Respect.
full-time job. Yeah.
Yeah, full-time job. But that's how people think. It goes, who am I? I'm just a stay-at-home mom and dad.
Right.
I drive my minivan, I raise my kids. But I say the way you model your behavior and your actions and your rhetoric influences and impacts your children. That impacts a generation. taking them to the voting booth, how you treat your neighbors. If you go to the mosque or the church and synagogue, right, opening the doors to those who are homeless or refugees. So everyone has a role to play. But I also tell people local office is where it's at, and where MAGA has deliberately and systematically been working at for the last several decades, specifically when it comes to school board, which then impacts local, state, and
Amen.
national elections. You're the expert. You tell me if I'm wrong here.
You are not wrong, and I'm giving amens over here to everything you're saying, and when people feel like that, we hear that a lot. People think, "Oh, I can't run." Yes, you can. Everybody has a story. We are all powerful. Now, I don't expect everyone to run for office, but if you're even thinking about it, we have free resources to help explore that. And if you make the decision to run, great. We'll show you how to start your campaign. If you decide that's not for me, no problem. Let's keep you involved and invested in the ecosystem. So everybody can do something, right? You can volunteer, you can post. I mean, being loud, being proud, being bold in our belief and our values and expressing those, again, whether it's as an example for our children or just in our community, the right MAGA wants us to feel like we are alone and powerless, as if we are the minority. And that is just factually incorrect. Our values resonate with the majority of the American people. The only reason they have the House of Representatives right now is because if you can't win, you change the rules. They have
This
redrawn unfair lines that have allowed them to maintain control of the House and the Senate. We can beat that. It's going to take all of us, but we can't just focus, to your point, at the federal level. For decades, they have recruited at the local, school board, city council, state rep, all of those offices that most people don't even think about, but have so much impact. We need to be contesting those and not just in the blue cities and blue states. If you're here, you're listening to this and you're in Arkansas, you're in downstate Illinois, you're any red area. I cut my teeth in Kansas, not a lot of Democrats in Kansas. But the way we build long term power in those areas is not overnight. It's by standing up and running good campaigns and building on them cycle after cycle. And we need people to lead the way. And we're going to win a lot more than we think. And that we want to build that kind of power.
Yeah, I want to give an example, folks. I'm here in, as you know, in Virginia, and for several years now, especially leading up to Youngkin running for governor, I saw what was happening with this anti-woke, anti-CRT, anti-trans students. Right, there was
Yep.
in Loudoun County was the test case. I wrote a piece on this. I said this is the test case in Loudoun County, which is a wealthy county here in Virginia, which, by the way, was one of the last counties to desegregate in the country, and they did this manufactured anti-CRT, anti-woke, school diversity campaign. Right, first they went after Toni Morrison and Black authors. That didn't track, but once they figured landed on trans,
Yep.
anti-trans. Oh, I heard that there was a trans person who assaulted a kid, and this, and then you had uh, not just the local Republicans there. You had operatives drop
Mhm.
in Virginia. You had funders come in, and then they saw that this worked. Then they had Glenn Youngkin, and Glenn Youngkin to get the edge on McAuliffe, who ran a lazy campaign. And I saw this in the suburbs, and I warned the Democrats, and I said, I know you're looking at the polls. I'm telling you, they have no response to this fear mongering against the LGBTQ. This is going to win over a lot of suburban parents. And lo and behold, it worked with Youngkin. It works with Youngkin. Now they realize, aha, we got something. Let's spend over $200 million on anti-trans campaign, right?
Right.
On the national election, which did move some people. And as of right now, some breaking news, they're saying that the Supreme Court seems inclined to uphold states' transgender athlete bans. We have
Yep.
more anti-trans legislation than actual trans students. But the way
It's true.
the way it works for them to win national,
Yep.
state, and local elections. However, the flip side to what you were saying is I have seen when we actually show up with the numbers in school boards, even in red states, we have won because they don't have the numbers. Just use that as an example. Expand on this
Yeah.
if you can. Sorry for my
No,
rant.
no, please rant away. Like we all feel this, right? We're all fed up. We all can't believe this is our reality. And in these times, right? It's a blessing and a curse to may you live in interesting times. we all have an obligation and a duty to stand up and push back and say, no, this is not who we are. This is not the country we live in, and it's not going to continue. That means running for school board. That means running for offices and putting ourselves out there being leaders, whether that's in a public area as a candidate or even just in your peer group and posting on social, which I know seems crazy, but it is effective, right? They want us again to feel alone, go to a protest. The school boards are incredibly important. The city councils are incredibly important. The Republicans, to your point on trans, take an issue and they talk and they use fear and hate and divisiveness as a way to motivate voters to vote for them. And what we as Democrats, too often, in my opinion, and in our teachings, what we try to tell candidates is we think the world works on common sense and logic, right? We bring white papers to a gunfight. That's not the way it works. I wish it did. What we need to be doing is using emotion and telling stories as well. But instead of hate and fear, we can use compassion and hope and a view that brings us all together. Give us something to stand for, right? The training that we're telling candidates, and I would tell anyone here, is like when you're out there, you're talking about issues, whether it's with your friends, on the stump, be bold. Tell people what you believe, right? I, I believe in a woman's right to choose. If someone has a problem with that, okay, listen, man, then don't vote for me. That's totally fine. And when I get in office, I'm going to represent everyone. Voters want someone to stand up and for what they believe in, right? And to be bold. And I think that's a lot of the problems we've had over the past several cycles. Democrats, we haven't stood up and say, here's what we believe in. Here's what we're about. And I'm not apologizing for it. Now, right now, Republicans were elected because they promised to bring back affordability. They have not delivered on that promise at all. And frankly, I think that that's what Democrats need to be wholly focused in on right now. Yes, there are a lot of big things out there, whether that is ICE and Venezuela, and we should be using those against the Republicans. But at the end of the day, what matters, I think, I feel it, you feel it, the listeners, you're feeling it. Everything is a lot more expensive, and I'm not making much more money. And meanwhile, Trump and his billionaire friends seem to be doing really well, making a lot of cash running this place. We need to be focused on affordability and the fact that our health care is disappearing, right? How do we talk to voters about the issues that matter directly to them so that they will come out and vote for us, and then we can enact the legislation that represents our values?
So Kelly, Addie's like, why do you have this dude on here? He's Democrats won't do this, and that's I want the reason why I bring that up, not to disrespect you, is a lot of people are like, okay, Democrats just now, the day is January 13th,
Mhm.
2026. The Democratic leadership was given a gift from the heavens in the form of Zoran Mamdani. They didn't have to spend millions of dollars like they did to find a left Joe Rogan, which is what the Democrats did. They didn't have to go to five-star hotels to research with corporate consultants about how do we find the liberal Joe Rogan, which is what they
I,
did.
I'm still waiting for that 5-star hotel, by the way, if anyone wants to invite
Yeah, I could see where you are right now in that very rich mansion
me.
with kids running around. They got a message that Zoran Mamdani gave them. And to this day, Donald Trump has publicly embraced Zoran Mamdani more sooner and with gusto than Schumer,
Mhm.
Jeffries, corporate Democratic donors, and Gillibrand. Your response to the cynicism, which I think is
It's perfectly warranted. Yeah. Why wouldn't you have cynicism out there? And we should be what the mayor, it feels so good to say that. What the mayor did so well was to articulate the frustration, the anger, but a vision for the future. And we need more people like that in our party. I understand everyone is incredibly frustrated. I'm incredibly
And I will
frustrated.
say for the people joining late, this is important. Is Kelly is not Kelly and the Democratic Training, the National Democratic Training Committee is not affiliated with the DNC. I think it's very important for people to know.
Yes.
Continue, Kelly. I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
No, I appreciate you reinforcing that distinction. People confuse us all the time. Um, what the mayor has done very well is articulate that frustration, that anger, and coupled it with a vision for the future. And again, I'm using the same words over and over for a reason. It's bold, right? You can describe it as progressive, you describe it any way you want, but he had specific goals that would affect and help every New Yorker. And yeah, they're ambitious. So what? I want a leader. We want leaders to be ambitious, right? Donald Trump understands this. I'm not a fan, but you learn from your opposition.
That's right.
His big ideas
Right.
motivate
That's
people,
right.
right? So yeah, right? Like free preschool education for every child in New York. That's fantastic. That's a great goal. Yeah, it's going to be hard. If this was easy, everybody'd be doing it. A lot of stuff is hard, but we can do hard things. So, look, I think it is a mistake not to embrace him simply because there's the word socialist after his name. We are too often defined by the opposition as opposed to defining ourselves. And if we're going to break that cycle, we have to be out there with these ideas, putting them on the defensive as opposed to them defining who we are and setting the tone of the debate.
You know, Mac Bear has this comment. He goes, Mamdani is not a gift. He's a TikTok guy who you all fell in love with. Hope he succeeds, but this idea he's a savior is simply not true. So let me respond. I've said before, and I'll say again, Kelly, I have never, ever idolized politicians. I
Yeah.
don't worship them. I don't care if it's Mamdani, Obama, Biden, anybody, even Mamdani, even AOC. To me, politicians are tools. They're tools that are to be used by the people to advance the people's needs. If a tool has potential and needs to be sharpened, it's our job to sharpen it. If the tool is now useless, I don't care. I will replace the tool with a better tool. That's just me. I've never had Obama posters. You've never seen a Mamdani poster. Inshallah, you never will. To me, politicians are servants of the people. I want to make it clear. However, when I do see a politician doing something right, capturing the sentiment of the people, like Mamdani, it is my job to say, Democrats, if you want to win, and unfortunately, you're the only horse that I have to compete against this fascist regime, here is a model. He has gone against the establishment. He has gone against the oligarchy. To your point, he's a fighter. He's bold. I interviewed him, folks, nearly, I think, 10 months ago. And he was a distant number two. And when he was a distant number two, he was all in on his platform. He didn't waver. He didn't throw the woke under the bus, didn't throw immigrants under the bus, didn't throw the trans community under the bus, criticized Israel for its genocide, didn't throw Palestinians under the bus, had the message of affordability, knocked on every door, did not take anyone for granted, uh, had bold ideas. He goes, free buses. Why not? Let's try it. And
Great
when
idea.
and then you know this, when there was not Shankar Osorio, who we've had on. She was interviewed by the New York Times, and she talked about the polls. Even though Donald Trump is negative double digits on the economy, on housing, on foreign policy now, on the Trump Epstein scandal, when they when they asked people about what when you think of Republicans, Trump, what do you think of? They said lion. When you think of Democrats, what do you think of? Deer and headlights.
I'm not surprised. I was going to say Dems in disarray. Like this is the common motif you hear all the time. I want to I want to call out that comment that you mentioned and tie it back to something you said before. We don't idolize these candidates. Candidates, having worked with literally thousands of them, they're just people. They're just people. Politicians are just people. There's some really good ones in there trying to do the best they can. And there's some assholes, part of my language. There's some not nice people up there who are self centered and doing everything about them and not being a team player. And that's on both sides. I would argue there are more nice people on the Democratic side, but still, they're people. And what I hope that those people who are, or if you're listening to this and thinking, who am I? I can't run. Like we talked before, a little bit of that imposter syndrome. All of these people we're talking about started off in a spot just like you are now.
Mamdani, assemblyman.
Assemblyman. Before he was assemblyman, he was just a guy, right? He doesn't come from money. He's not well connected,
I
right?
mean, Mir Anar, he's connected in a way in the arts world and academics world, but not in the political class.
Right, right. So anyone can run and make a difference. Everyone has a story to tell. We actually have the tools and the ways to hone and develop that story of self that every candidate needs. But this is stuff you have to practice, right? You don't just walk out and be like, "I'm a candidate," and boom, you know what to do, right? Professional athletes practice 5 times more than they actually play in the games. We need to be doing that as operatives, as candidates as well. Practicing our stump speeches, our messaging, answering questions, raising money, all of those things. We are the resource. We are the free tool to help people do that. And remembering that everyone is just a human, good, bad, ugly, and beautiful inside. And at different times, those comes out, but yet we can hold them accountable. So I just wanted to share that we are the way that to help people take action here and that don't idolize these humans because you're always going to be let down.
Yeah, it's Train Dems. For those who are asking, it's Kelly who founded Train Dems 10 years ago. They do it for free. They're not associated with the DNC. From a local, state, and national level, anybody who wants to run as a Democrat, they train you and they give you the online resources. And we're talking about how Democrats can and should message and mobilize the majority. So you mentioned something, Kelly, I think already. First and foremost, a fighter spirit. People are done with
Yes.
cowards, milk toast, weak, centrist. It's done. It's been done for a while. They want fighters. Even if you're going to lose, I'm watching the playoffs right now. My team, let me just give you an example. I give a sports analogy. 49ers.
Yep.
49ers had no business beating the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. I was prepared. I'm like, my team is down to its fifth linebacker. But what did they do? And you know what we said as 49ers fans? I'm just telling you, I'm like, all right, the fact that they got this far, my God, man, that shows resilience and grit. Every single person is stepping up and doing their part. I'm okay with them losing. They won. They
They
won. And
won.
then you saw Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champions, have all the talent, have all the money, but they have dysfunction. The coach doesn't get along with the wide receiver. They don't have a good plan, and they thought they could just stroll in and beat these beleaguered 49ers. And the 49ers came in and they fought. People want fighters. They
Yes.
want a fighting spirit. I don't tell me what you can do. Expand my imagination. You just fight for me. Look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Yes.
One thing I respect about Republicans, I hate giving them any credit, but you know what they do, Kelly? We have power. Who's going to stop us? And then they use the power in the worst ways possible, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
"No, I'm going to unleash the National Guard. Stop me. I'm going to strengthen ICE with white nationalists. Stop me. I'm going to
Right.
invade Venezuela. Stop me. I want Greenland. Stop me. I'm going to give the biggest wealth transfer in American history and permanent tax cuts for the rich. Stop me, mother effers."
Yes.
And Democrats are like, no, be afraid to even mention abolish ICE. Oh my God, I'm
Right.
sorry. So, talk to us about the message that you have seen that has resonated with communities in the past couple of years. What's the
Yeah.
message?
I mean, look, the message right now, it's simple. It's affordability, it's healthcare, right? These are the issues that matter to voters because, again, when we are running as a candidate, right, we need to motivate our base. That means motivate Democrats to come out. And we need to motivate people who are just not politically engaged at all. So, how do you motivate? This is human psychology. How do you motivate someone to do something for you? You talk about the things that they care about. Right now, groceries are too damn expensive. People are their healthcare premiums are doubling, tripling, they're skyrocketing if they can even get coverage. First of all, that's not right. That's just morally wrong, right? So what are you going to do about it? How are you going to help be part of the solution? Talk to people about those ideas. Tell them what you believe. Be bold. That's the message that we're telling people. All of this other stuff is a distraction, right? We're invading Venezuela, we're taking Greenland. All of these things are a distraction from the fact that prices are going up and you're losing your health care. And that's not okay.
And by the way, folks, he's negative double digits on foreign policy, and he's negative double digits on the healthcare. He's negative double digits on the economy, and there's we can juggle multiple balls at the same time. But what really motivates people is the fact that the one thing he can't lie to them about is about what's in their wallet, and this is
Yeah.
where we come to the litmus test. And I think this is going to be the big litmus test. I wanted to ask you this, and I feel very strongly about this.
Yeah.
If we've seen the trends for the past 10 years, it's been very clear to me that what we're seeing is that the American public is done with institutions. They're done with the establishment. They believe that these are institutions that are against them, and they want someone from the outside to come in and change it up. Now, I hate saying this because it's all bullshit, but Donald Trump is the ultimate insider and establishment hack who sold the bullshit narrative that I'm an outsider. Then you see Zoran Mamdani, outsider, who's a democratic socialist, but an outsider. You see AOC, a bartender who came
Yes.
in on going against the establishment. Now, I want to give a fact that I think I know for a fact the Democratic establishment and its corporate consultants refuse to acknowledge this. People who voted for Donald Trump in 2024 also voted for AOC. People who voted for Donald Trump in 2024 also voted for Zoran Mamdani. If you look at just the Latino voters, they said, I just want my life to be better. All right.
Mhm.
I wish they would have taken other things into concern, those voters who voted for
Right.
Trump, but they're like, inflation, price, sure. This guy will shake shit up. Let's give it to him. All of those Latino voters have gone back to 2016 numbers. So for me, a litmus test is if you're still sucking up to the corporate teat, if you're unwilling to reform the system and you're promoting the broligarchy, you're not the Democratic leader for us and you've missed the moment. But I wanted to ask you this, Kelly, because I think this is the come where the rubber hits the road. Because Gavin Newsom a couple of weeks ago was asked, meatball down the middle. He's seen the poll numbers. He knows how popular it is to tax the wealthy. And you saw him give the quote, they're part of the big tent. Your response.
I think Democrats, for whatever reason, we always have to defend the status quo in the system where, to your point, we should be blowing up the system because the system hasn't worked. You're not going to convince people to support you who are being actively hurt by the system. There's no reason why we need to defend and maintain the status quo with the federal state government. We should be blowing it up, reshaping, reforming from the ground up. I completely agree with you on that. And the more candidates we have out there expressing that and showing that vision and way forward and path, just like the mayor has done, just like AOC has done, like many candidates do, the more successful we will be.
And I've seen it work with that message, fighting the oligarchy. It seemed to work. It seemed to resonate in with white rural communities.
Yeah, look, it is what you say, how you say it, and who's saying it, right? All those things matter. And Democrats need to get back out there, and we need to energize people and restore belief, to your point, that we can wield power effectively. Because when we get in, we again, we try to defend systems that aren't helping people we want to help. So quit doing that. We have an opportunity to be the outsiders. We have the opportunity to change the system fundamentally, think big. I mean, look, if we're going to talk about big ideas, uh, I think we should be reforming the House of Representatives and expanding it by several hundred. We can dilute the tyranny of the Senate to prevent this ridiculous MAGA hold on power. There's lots of ideas out there, but to get
I say
there,
expand the Supreme Court.
great. Love it. But to get there, to do any of that, we have to hold office, which means we have to get the American people to trust and vote for us, meaning we need to be talking about the bread and butter issues that matter to them. They're worried about making the rent, worried about, can I afford groceries? Can I send my kid to after school? She wants to learn to play the piano. How the hell am I going to afford that? These are things that we should not. We can be doing a lot more for the American people. And the more candidates we have and the more Democrats we have articulating their vision to how to get that done, the more successful we will be at the election. And
And
then
I
we can
think,
do all
Kelly,
kinds
why
of fun things.
why what you're offering is very important. This free service to train and literally just educate anybody. A stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad who says, why shouldn't I run for office? But what do I do? Your organization, I'm going to put the traindems.org.
Thanks.
Literally, it's for you. It's like, all right, you want to run? This is what you need. This is what you do. This is a digital campaign. And the reason why I think this is going to be very important, my prediction is that all these people who have anointed themselves to be the next leader of the Democratic Party, I think we're going to get an outsider. It's 2 years. A lot can happen in 2 years. People who don't believe me, Zoran Mamdani last year was on the side of the New York street filming himself, desperately trying to talk to people. Nobody would talk to him. He is now the mayor of New York, the first Muslim, first Asian, I think second Democratic Socialist, who literally came in as like, all right, let's do universal child care. And last week with with Governor
Made it happen.
Hochul, yeah, introduced it. And people that I saw, talked about this. There was a video of a white woman. She's like, this guy, wow, he just got elected. And I think if he could pull this through, I'll save $36,000, which made me think, how come nobody else did it? Because they chose not to do it. They were timid. They were feckless. They went with the
Yes.
system. So I think an AOC came out of nowhere, folks. So anyone who thinks that it's Gavin Newsom and he's anointed himself or anybody else, I believe, before we started recording, I said I have a litmus test. My first litmus test I just shared with you. You still suck at the seat of the corporate oligarchy and you choose restoration instead of reform. You're not the guy, according to me. I think you should be primaried. You're not the guy or the gal. My second litmus test that I've just added, it was never a litmus test, but this is my position, but now it's a litmus test for me. Abolish ICE. Kelly, how can any Democrat defend funding a white supremacist organization that literally is lying to us about the murder of Renee Good, is demonizing her and now her wife, and is furthermore saying, give us money to terrorize your neighborhoods? Where am I wrong? Make the case for ICE for me. What do I miss?
No, why would I make that case for you? No, I cannot, and I will not. I think that Democrats overwhelmingly agree with you. The only caveat I will have here is that if we are debating ICE as the central
Mhm.
messaging point of an election, we have
Not
seen the
central.
results of that, unfortunately. I wish it was different. I really wish it was different. We need to be talking a majority of the time and focusing on those pocketbook issues, affordability, healthcare, because all that matters is having the votes and having the power to drive the agenda, to pass the legislation, to hold the hearings, to change the funding. And you know what? We can abolish ICE. We don't have to talk about it.
So you say don't talk about it, but suppose someone comes to you.
No,
You're running
no,
for
no.
office.
Let me be nuanced. This is tough, right? Let me be nuanced. I'm not saying don't ever talk about it. You can't avoid the issue.
That's right.
It just can't be your central. It
It's
should
your
not be your
central plank.
central issue. Yeah, of course I should be gone, right? Like it is. They are unprepared, untrained fascists wearing masks, going door to door, violating the civil rights and humanity of American citizens. And you know what? I'll even scratch that, of human beings. Doesn't even matter if you're an American citizen or not. You should not be treated like that. There is no accountability. That is not what anyone in this country who founded this country, who believes in this country, understands as the rights and the way we want America to work. That's just wrong.
My take on this is if you the person who can lead and I think can really galvanize a wide group of people, my take is for someone who runs on affordability and accountability. Specifically,
Yep.
affordability, we want to make your life better. These rich bastards, the 1% and Republicans and Donald Trump and his billionaire friends have made everything worse. The greatest wealth transfer in history, tax cuts for the rich, gutting Medicaid, right? And accountability. I'm going to fight and I'm going to hold these mother effers accountable for their crimes against humanity. I'm going to hold the oligarchy accountable. I'm going to hold Elon Musk accountable. I'm going to hold Donald Trump accountable. I'm going to hold ICE accountable. I think you will get a lot more people. And this goes to my third plank. People ignored me and others and said no one cares about Palestine. Don't talk about Palestine. I think Kamala Harris and the corporate Democrats and the centrist Democrats made a huge mistake by excluding the pro-Palestine activists. A YouGov poll last year said the number one issue, not the only issue, which kept many Democratic voters at home was Joe Biden and the Kamala Harris administration's complicity in Palestine. Now you can't escape it. I believe we're
Yeah.
living in what I call a Gaza generation. young people around the world have become radicalized. You've seen Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson on try to win over people. You're seeing in California now, I don't know if you've noticed this, Kelly, now all the people who are trying to replace Nancy Pelosi, all of them now are saying, oh, we don't support
Oh,
Israel.
I've seen this. I
Have you
have
seen
not
this?
seen this. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You're seeing them all turn. You're like, oh, wait. I think this is a litmus test issue. I don't think it should be the main issue, but I think a litmus test issue for Democrats moving forward is what Zoran and others showed is like, I don't support Israel in its genocide. I'm not going to throw pro-Palestinian activists under the bus. I'm for Israel as a democratic nation state, but not as an apartheid state. I think this is a litmus test issue. I think Democrats are still lost when it comes to the establishment. Your take.
I wish a majority of voters had the time and capacity to consider all of those issues. In a primary, yes, we need to win general elections. That's not to say these issues aren't incredibly important, but we need to win the election. So, yes, this is what I believe. This is who I am. And then you pivot and you talk to the issues that matter to them. I think part of the challenge here is that we try to be everything to everyone as
Yeah.
opposed to being like, look, this is what I believe. You may not like it. Okay, then don't vote. If that's your single issue, then don't vote for me. But this is what I believe, and here's who I am, and here's why I'll fight. Right. We respect people who stand up for their own beliefs and do it in a way, hopefully, that is respectful in return. That's what we gotta have the courage to do that, right? And we have to be able to show the voters that we can deliver when we get in and we can make these real bold changes.
I say affordability and accountability, and that includes Israel, that includes ICE, that includes holding Christy Nome and Stephen Miller and Pete Kexeth.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
under that rubric, you get it all. Affordability, like you said, bread and butter, just the way the world works. The economy, that's what motivates people. You wish people care about human rights, but we saw with some voters, specifically, I'm just going to focus on some Latino voters. All
Yeah.
right, uh, my checkbook hurts, inflation. All right, I'll vote for Trump. Oh, shit. He overreached. And he overreached on immigration to the point, folks, where if you follow elections, Cubans voted for a Democratic mayor in Miami. First Democrat in 30 years, first non-Latino in 30 years, first woman. But you have an opportunity here, right? My fear is that they'll go timid. Oh, we'll just go on affordability and because people don't like Trump. But I feel like you can really, I mean, because Kelly, what I'm looking at is 30% of voters who can vote don't vote.
Yeah.
Instead of winning over, I call him Chet. Chet is my mythical classic white Rust Belt Trump voter
Is
who
that like a weird science reference? Like, that's impressive.
there you go. It's the weird science reference. This is why you now have you have earned a
Hey,
repeat
all right.
because you're the only person who is actually God on the in the comment section knows it's a weird science reference, and you're the only guest. It is the weird science
Nice.
reference. Bill
Okay.
Paxton played the character of Chet,
Yep.
and Chet is who I say is what the Democratic establishment yearns for. We'll dropkick Letitia, we'll dropkick Wajahat, we'll dropkick AOC and Mamdani, but we'll go for Chet, who literally thinks we're pedophiles and wants to kill us, right? And I'm like, maybe instead of trying to go for Chet, go for this huge swath of voters who are simply so apathetic, so uninspired, and hate all of you that they don't vote. But if you give them something to vote for, they'll come out, right?
Yes.
That's my take. That's my take.
No,
Inspire the masses with
I'm
accountability and
I'm
affordability.
totally with you, and that's what we want to be able to do. How do we help as many people as possible at scale? We could contest, there's more than 125,000 offices on the ballot this November. We could contest every single one of them. We have the technology, we have the training, the resources. We just need to spread the word and get people to stand up. And we want to make that as easy as possible. We want to lower the barrier of entry. We want to diversify that leadership pipeline, right? And empower the next blue wave. And then they're not only winning now, but we're creating a deeper bench for the future, right? So that we have people who are known and we see these leaders coming up and now they can run for state rep, state senate, Congress, and on, right? But we have to be, it's hard work and it's going to take a while, but we can do these things. And if we don't start now, when, right? If not now, when? If not us, who? I mean, we don't have much longer if these fascists are going to keep doing this ridiculous stuff across the country.
We don't have time. I want to ask you about my final plank here. My final.
Yeah, you got a lot of planks, man. Is it a whole deck or is it just
No. This is for national. For national, I think
national?
I feel like anyone who runs on this, I feel like they will galvanize the majority. I feel like they'll take the legs out underneath of the
Yeah,
America First agenda because I also pay attention to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson, and I see how they are moving further to the left on Israel than many of the Democratic establishment. I think it's a mistake of the Democratic establishment. I feel how they're moving further to the left on AI. I think that's a mistake. I feel like what Steve Bannon and Marjorie Taylor Greene, their critiques on AI is going to galvanize a lot of people, and also on Israel, and the elite. Even though it's all bullshit, they're all elitists, but they're talk about going against the elite, right? So this is why I want Democrats to see where the people are. And for me, it's look the big for me is affordability, accountability, a fighter spirit, a person who's authentic and transparent, a person who's willing to shake up the establishment. That's my core. That's it at the
yeah,
end of the day. And around that, for me, my pillars are if you're running for funding ICE, I can't support you. If you're still sucking at the teat of the oligarchy and unwilling to criticize them, I can't support you. If you're still willing to support Israel unfettered and its genocide, I can't support you. I'm sorry. Those are my three. And then my fourth one, my final one is if you're willing to do business the old way and throw us under the bus. That's what Gavin Newsom tried a year ago, throwing the transgender community under the bus. They tried to throw pro-Palestinian activists on the bus. Historically, the Democratic Party has thrown black and brown communities on the bus to be tough on crime. I feel like it's not going to work. I feel like what Mamdani did is showed you I can run on affordability, I can be authentic, I can run on accountability, and I don't have to throw anyone under the bus. And New Yorkers said, like you said, Kelly, the central plank affordability. I might not agree with him on ICE. I might not agree with him on Israel, but he might make he might make it better. Okay.
yes,
So the central plank is affordability, but I think you get all these other folks and you win over people and you're like, damn it, that person stands on business, ethical, moral. Don't support ICE. Don't support the oligarchy. I think it rehabilitates a democratic brand, and I think it will give you a lot more people. That's just my take. I want to ask you about my final plank, which I think is very important. Don't throw the woke under the bus.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for being woke. You can. They will demon. Uh They will demonify it. That's not the right word, but I can't recall the right one
No,
right now.
vilify.
Vilify it. Demonify, vilify. My daughter is all into K-pop demon hunters and anime
Demify. They
now,
will
and it's on
They will
top of my head.
K-pop demify. They will K-pop demify
K-pop
us no matter
demonify.
what.
That's an interesting that is an interesting idea right there. Look, they're gonna vilify. They have vilified woke. We need people that are just going to stand up and be like, get out of here, man. This is ridiculous, right? The incompetence, the racism, the hate, it's unacceptable in our federal government and it's unacceptable in our local leaders. And I don't have to apologize for it. These MAGA is so concerned about being anti woke. And meanwhile, I'll go back. I'm paying more for groceries. I'm worried that my kid's not going to have health insurance because the price has doubled and my salary's not keeping up. But somehow the president of the United States made $30 billion last year. How the hell is that fair? These guys are incredibly incompetent and cruel, and we need to be holding them accountable. Yes. And that happens by getting power and presenting a vision where everyone has a chance to succeed in America.
And I agree with you. And the reason why I'm so harsh and firm, if you will, against the Democrats, and the reason why I'm holding their feet to the fire is I'm old. I'm 45 years old. I have gray hair. I have seen how the world's worst people fail up. I have been promised crumbs my entire life by the Democratic Party, and they keep punting it. Too big to fail. The same mother effers come in and they're destroying the economy. Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney, they were good on one issue. Let's engage in hagiography with war criminal Dick Cheney, right? The Confederates, were they that bad? Let's make statues for Robert E. Lee and Jefferson Davis and schools and name them after them, right? Without accountability, you can't get reconciliation, right? They just want, they want
Yeah.
reconciliation without truth. And I think people are fed up, and I know there's a righteous rage, and they see that Donald Trump, a criminal who incited a violent insurrection, he will never spend a day of his life in jail. And all these people, they're going to tank the economy. It's going to happen, folks. Just be prepared. AI and crypto, it's just a matter of time before it crashes. They're going to ask for a bailout again. So you need reform. You need reform now. And I think that's why affordability and accountability together, this is what will galvanize a winning message across the board. You'll win over so many people. I just
Yeah.
don't know if the Democratic establishment is for it. In fact, I'll take it a step further. They're not for it. The Democratic, I'm not saying Democrats. I want to be very clear here, Kelly. I'm not saying Democrats. I'm saying the establishment is not for it,
Yeah.
because if they were for it, they would have embraced Mobilize, and they still haven't. Uh, I hear an echo in your phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you hearing it now?
You all hear that? It's okay. We're ending soon.
Yeah.
But Kelly, that's my take. Maybe you agree with me. I don't know, but you're doing good work. Shamelessly promote yourself.
Shamelessly promote myself. TrainDems.org for anyone who wants to get involved in the democratic process, completely free. Follow us on social at TrainDems on all of the networks. We're here to help. If you don't want to run for office, ask someone, tell someone you think should, because we all need to be recruiting people. You may lose. Who cares? That's okay. We need to be out there. We need to be contesting every election. We need to be building long-term power. We're here to help you do it totally free. TrainDemocrats.org. How was that?
That's great. Th- Someone has two. I think you might have another one happening. That's okay. We're gonna go with that. Go for 30 more seconds. Welcome to the left hook. There's no paywall. Everything is free. I'm a terrible capitalist. I put the special to lefthook.substack.com/special. Uh, Sorry for the echo. For those who joined us late, this will be up on my Substack later. I'm talking to Kelly. He's with Train Dems. It's a free site. It is not connected to the DNC. It's about inspiring anyone who wants to run for office. And then I'll be back at 5:30 p.m. with David Rockoff.
Amazing. Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And because you have this weird time towards me, you can come back anytime.
I appreciate it. As a young man who has no gray in this beard, I will be happy to join.
Take care. And thank you, everyone, for listening to me and my echo. We'll be back.
Go do good things. Thanks.